evening, everybody. Good night, or no, good evening, I think is what you say when you say hello.
Talking Dirty
with Maestro.
Not just numbers,
Not just stats.
it's about what they mean.
I'm going to send to you the information.
Talking Dirty.
Hello and welcome to Talkin Durty. What's your point? Me. Great group of games this week. Great group of opportunities to see teams do what they need do going down as we really push toward the race to one. A lot of the playoff pictures are now set. Some surprises, some not so surprises, some interesting. I guess everything is interesting in its own way. Interesting means something different, right? You know, the tautology of interesting. You know, just interesting doesn't always mean bad. It doesn't always mean good, but it definitely means something. I guess that's what's kind of good about it. I want to pick up where I left off last week in regard to the conversation of stats that scouts look at to show your impact in a game. And one married stat that turns out to be more often than not related to the stat sheet is that of rebounds and blocks. I know what that sounds like. Just give me 1 second. Rebounds and blocks are usually the 4 marker of good big men. But there's a falsity to that because of the nature of what the block actually does. And we'll talk about that in the second half of this particular pod. But you know your players that are in the top 10 in rebounds and blocks. We know Orion Toomey, Josiah Cook, who's been amazing this season. Leonardo Fields, my man, I, in fun, called him my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And some people didn't know what that meant. It was a positive thing, so roll with it. And if it was offensive, I do apologize. My big boo, Victor Ilgauskas. I know my fun-sized boo is Big Bob, but my big boo has always been Victor Ilgauskas. His game always has always grabbed my attention. His ability to play with various levels of athletes and his ability to show that he can be that particular player, that particular impact player, and support his teammates the way he does. And lastly, Musa Mishad. You know I'm trying to say it right. First of all, with a name like Musa, how cool is that? Like, I always wanted a name that rhymed with boo, because everybody would say moo. I played on a team with 3 guys who had the name that like Cooper and stuff like that. So every time they would make a play, the crowd would go ooh, and I didn't have that, so jealous. Anyway, another player, again, rebounds and blocks. Now, yes, a lot of blocks come from grabs the block shot that counts as a rebound, yes, but it also shows you his hand-eye coordination. That's the one thing that I'm most impressed about, how he's able to coordinate his abilities to not only be impactful in the play, but to continue to play for his team, that puts his team in a position of strength in whatever might be going on. And that is key. And that's how these particular players are impactful. And that's what scouts look for when they look on the stat sheet, because there are elements of those stats that translate off the page. And that is the point of this, to know that not everything is wasted. So don't just look at the numbers for what they are. Look at the numbers for what they represent, for what you do with what's not on that page. All right? All right. Y'all know what's up. You know what you got to do. Catch me on the Z.
Thank you for listening to the Maestro. Want to get involved? Bring it.
Drop in discord.gg/SimWorld Hoops.
If you have the brain, join as a coach. If you have the game,
join as a player.
see the game,
Be
be the game. Now, back to the Maestro.
Maestro.
Sorry. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And welcome back to Talkin Dirty with your boy. So, let's have a quick conversation about why blocks are important. And blocks are important for a lot of different reasons. But they happen, or should I say, the way they happen decides the level or the degree of importance. 3 elements of the block. It's the physiology of the block. Is it just simply a taller player with leverage over a shorter player who thinks they can make a shot and the blocks happen? That's a meh, not a surprise by anybody, including the person who takes the shot. Then there's the pathology of the block. In other words, it's the idea, and more specifically, the pathology is about the hype. This particular case, the mental mindset that sets in the block. A good effective block can be as impressive or as bench stirring as an impressive dunk or a dunk at the right moment. And the last ology is the psychology of the block, and that's probably the most important part of it. A block that's a surprise, a block that comes out of nowhere, a block that happens within a moment is a block that puts a team on edge, and I mean the team who was just blocked. For instance, going back to the physiology, if myself as a shorter player, if I'm going to the rim and I go up for a shot and a big comes over, knocks the ball, blocks my shot. Well, okay, did I get the foul? What happened? Was it just a very clean block? Then I just have to look, tip my head, move on. But the pathology of that changes my mindset toward my psychology of that. Now, though I was not surprised, it may or may not affect how I go into the post the next time. If I don't care if I get blocked or not, as long as I'm being aggressive, if I'm getting fouls off of that, the block doesn't hurt. As a matter of fact, it helps because it gets that big out of the game faster. But if it's a block that's a surprise, for instance, what appears to be a wide open 3, wingman comes over, jumps up, the physiology jumping straight up, volleyball jump, not toward the shooter, but toward the arc of the ball, getting that block, that's huge. Because the dynamic of the block in that particular moment, even though it's a low percentage shot, the dynamic of that block changes the perception of what's going to happen forward. Next time, that same shooter might actually rush that shot. They rush that shot, they're off balance, they're off leverage, great opportunity for them to miss. The other move with the physiology of the block, again, jumping into the arc, and I did a whole pod on blocks. The physiology of the block that leads to the psychology of the block. If I'm coming down 6'6", I go up, I lay it off the backboard, someone comes behind me, bigger or not, slaps it off the backboard, everybody screams, good hustle, whatever, but that block isn't as demeaning or debilitating because it was a hustle play. And the fact that I laid it soft off the glass left opportunity for it to be blocked. It's harder for bigs to get consistent blocks because most cats down in the post will put themselves in a position where they don't want to be blocked. And one of the weakest things that I see all the time that makes me crazy is people in the post who actually fade away. In other words, a slight lean back out of that physiological reaction to the psychology of being worried about being blocked. They lean back, taking energy off their shot makes it a bad shot even though it's in the post. For those who want to be blockers, you jump to the arch of the shot. You make sure that you eliminate that. Don't jump at the shooter, jump at the arc of the shot. For those of you who are going to shoot in the post, lean into your shot, even if it's against a big. Those 3 or 4 degrees that you're trying to get by leaning back to put arch on the ball, the energy you take off the ball makes that shot worthless. and more importantly, gives them an opportunity to block your shot. And quite frankly, it turns out to be a poor possession. Don't let that happen. Let it work. Let it work for you, not against you. Hope this helps you out and thinking about how blocks are important, why blocks are important. You know what's up. Holla at your boy. Let me know what you think. And of course, as always, when you're driving down the road and you look over and you see John Wick in the lane next to you, just press your brakes.
Like I need to talk to somebody.
Thank you for listening to Maestro.
Thank you again for checking out Maestro. Drop a tag below and give us a piece of your mind. See you next time.
Well, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.